Kathleen at Crafts by Kathleen. I did say 4-ish. Okay, so our class today ran a little bit longer. It didn't end until just a few minutes ago, about 5 o'clock. It was supposed to be over at 4, and then I was going to hop on and do this tutorial, but it's okay. I'm just an hour late. All right. We're going to go over the 1, 2, 3 punch board. I've had a couple of people ask me now about the 1, 2, 3 punch board, and they said that they've got envelope makers or they've got the 1, 2, 3 punch board and they still can't make it work. It's super easy, but you have to pay attention to what you're doing. So I thought I would take this opportunity to get my 1, 2, 3 punch board out that I've had for years and I use constantly. I make envelopes with it, I make bows with it. I don't make a lot of boxes with it. The boxes that they make are the fold-up boxes, and they're great. But when I'm making boxes, I like to make my chipboard boxes. So, but I do use it all the time for envelopes. Gift card holders, especially here at the shop when we sell gift cards, I'll run back and I'll make a real quick envelope for the gift card. And the bows come out really, really cute. Before I had my bow die from Pink and Maine, I used this to make little bows, big bows. You can make all kinds of bows with it. So let me turn the camera down, and this way you can kind of see everything that I'm talking about, all right? So let's see here. Is that good? I want to put my thing here because when I turn it down like that, sometimes the camera gets a little top heavy. All right, so here's the 1, 2, 3 punch board, okay? You open it up. On the left-hand side here, it has all of your instructions, all of your measurements. Now I'm going to tell you a little trick. First of all, I'm, well into my 50s. My eyes aren't what they used to be when I was in my 30s and 20s. I can't always see these numbers. What I do is on my phone, I take a picture and I blow it up to what it is that I want to make. But we're going to do one that I can see real well. The ones that are in the dark lines are the ones that I have the hard time seeing, but the ones that are in these light lines, I don't have nearly as hard of a time seeing. So we're going to do one from there. But you've got your envelope, the instructions how to do it, and then the sizes. It says card size, paper size, and punch guide. I'm going to show you what that means. Over here you've got your bows, and the same thing. It'll say bow size, paper width, paper length. Now the bow, you're going to use a rectangle, a different size width than length. With the envelopes, everything is square. You're not going to be using a different length for the width and the length. You're going to be using all the same. And then the boxes, it says box size, paper size, start line, and box score line. So again, with the boxes, you're going to use a square. So if it just says paper size, it's going to be the size of the paper, so 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. Or if the size of the paper says 8, it's 8 by 8. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab ourselves a piece of paper, and you know what? I left both of my paper trimmers over on the table. So if you will let me run over there super, super quick. I won't be too long. It's just right here, and I'm grabbing a paper trimmer, and I'm coming right back. I'm here. So I've got my We Are Memory Keepers mini guillotine. I love this paper trimmer. It's one of my favorites as far as accuracy. I like the fact that it's got the little tiny measurements for the 1/8 of an inches in here. And some of these sizes will have 1/8 of an inches on here. But we're going to do one that's kind of simple. So we're going to do an envelope that's going to be a card size, let's do the A2, okay? So my A2, because I have a hard time seeing, and it is the most frequently used one, I wrote it up here, but if you go down here, A2, where are you? There it is. Okay, A2. It says 8 1/4 is the paper size, so that's going to be 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. And then your start, your punch guide, is going to be at 3 5/8. Okay, so we're doing an A2, but I wrote it up here so that I can see it. So A2, 8 1/4, 3 5/8. Now let me show you what that means. First of all, we know that since it just says 8 1/4, that's going to be square. So 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. So we're going to take this. Now, do you know how to do, if you've only got the mini guillotine and you've got 11 inches here, 8 1/4, so we're going to go backwards. So you've got 11, 10, wait a minute, you're making me, I'm messing up here. So 2 3/4 is what we're going to cut off, and that'll be 8 1/4. You just go backwards and you cut off 2 3/4 so that you have a square that's 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. Okay, or that's 8 1/2, 2 3/4. So now we're going to take this and we're going to cut off a 1/2 inch so that it's 8 1/4. We're cutting off 1/4 of an inch. I'm messing this up. I am telling you, after I have sat down and done a class, now the class that we just did, we made 6 cards, 6 fun fold cards that were all tag holders. So my brain is kind of shot. So we're doing 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. All right, so that looks square. Let me just double check the measurement. We've got 8 1/4 that way, and I've got 8 1/4 that way. So we're good. All right, now it says punch guide. That's the 3 5/8. Up here is your punch guide, and there's a measurement here. So here you're going to go to 3 5/8. Now I know that I'm going to have to pull this little leg out because it's going to be a little bit longer. And I'm going to take out my scoring tool. If I can get, oh, this one's stuck in there. So let me grab one of these. I have a scoring tool right here. This is stuck in there. I'll have to get Bill to pull it out. Okay, so we've got our 8 1/4 by 8 1/4 piece of paper, and we're going to start on our punch guide at 3 5/8. So that means you're going to put this right here to 3 5/8. Now, every time you turn it, you're no longer going to be using the 3 5/8. You're just doing that on the very first punch. So I'm going to punch it at 3 5/8, and then I'm going to the center. See right here, there's 1, 2, 3. You're going to the center to do your score, and you're going to score straight down. Okay? Now that score line is now going to fit right into this little gully here. This says envelope score groove, and then you're going to turn it so that it fits right in there. So when you turn it, you're not pushing this back to 3 5/8. What you're doing is moving this so that it's right here in this groove, and you can feel it. See how it kind of stops? You can feel it as it goes along and goes into that groove. Then you're going to punch it again, and then back here into the center and score it again, and then turn it. And then you're going to feel, there it is, go right into that groove. You're going to punch it again, and then you're going to score it. And then we're going to do one more. We're going to feel it go into the groove, up right there. Punch it again, and then you're going to score it. Now you're going to notice on here, your score lines go right into the center of all of these punches. If they're not in the center of all of these punches, you didn't do it right. Throw it away and start again. All right? So let's go through and do one more. You'll notice that this will fold just like this into an envelope for an A2 card. So let's try one more. Let's do it with a thinner piece of paper. I thought I had some thinner paper, but no, I got cardstock. So let's do it with another piece of cardstock. Got some yellow here, okay? So we're going to do, we did an A2 that way. Let me show you, it works with everything. So let's do a one that measures for a 4.5 by 5. Okay, 4.5 by 5. We're going to use an 8-inch paper size. So that means we're going to use an 8-inch by 8-inch square piece of paper, and we're going to punch. Our punch guide is 3 7/8. All right, so I'm going to cut my yellow piece of paper to 8 inches by 8 inches. So I'm taking 3 inches off of the 11-inch side to give me 8 inches. Okay. And I'm taking a 1/2 inch off the 8.5 inch side to give me 8 inches. Okay. So now I've got my 8-inch by 8-inch piece of cardstock. And what did I say we're starting at? Where'd it go here? 3 7/8. Okay, so what we're going to do is start at 3 7/8. And this is to make for a 4.5 by 5-inch card. So you know sometimes when you're making some fun fold cards and they're not exactly an A2, so this is one that would measure 4.5 by 5 inches. So we've got our 8-inch paper, so that's 8-inch by 8-inch, and we're going to do our very first score and punch at 3 7/8. So I'm over here at 3 7/8, okay, 3 7/8, only the first one. I'm going to punch it at 3 7/8, and I'm going to that center groove, and I'm going to score it. Then I'm going to turn it. I'm no longer looking at the punch guide. That's only for the first one. Then I'm going to slide this over until I feel it in this score line groove here, in the envelope score groove. I'm going to feel my score go right in there. I'm going to punch it, and then I'm going to score it. Then I'm going to turn it. I'm going to feel that next score go right into that groove. I'm going to punch it, and then I'm going to score it. And then we're going to do the last one. We're going to get that score line into that groove, punch it, and then we're going to score it. Now, can you see that square? So that's going to fit a 4.5 by 5-inch card. All right? So then you just fold these up. Now, here's the secret to folding them. I always fold my sides in first. My sides go in first, and then I fold my bottom up. Then I take my glue or my tape or whatever, and I put on this V right here and glue that down. That makes my envelope. Then I make a bunch of these up, and I take my tape that has my double-sided tape that's got the paper over top of it, and I put a piece here and a piece here so that I can lay them down, and then when I'm ready to use them, I just peel the tape off. So here's my envelope. Now, over here, on this side and this side, you've got 2 different punches there. So the first punch is on, I can barely read it here, but I can look this way and see it. This one here on the right side, this is for making the boxes. So you'll notice here on the picture of the box, see how there's that little clasp, the way that the paper folds and goes together? So that right-hand side is the punch up here that punches that. And I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm going to take this scrap here, and we're going to punch that. And it rounds the corner, plus puts that little slit in it so that, let me see if I can show you how it works. When you do it, it goes together like that, okay? So that's on the right side. On the left side, you can take the top of your envelope and put that in there, and it rounds it, okay? So you can use this as a corner rounder or whatever you need to, but that's what you do with this. It's so simple to use. The most important thing is remember that when you're reading this guideline and it says punch guide and it gives you a number, say 3.5, you're only going to do that with the very first punch and score. Everything after that, you're going to fit your score right into this little gully here. You'll feel it. As you slide the paper across, you'll feel it when your paper clasps into that, okay? All right, so I hope that that helps you guys out in using your envelope makers. And if you have an envelope maker, I don't care who it's from. We Are Memory Keepers makes one of these that's just an envelope maker. Stampin' Up! Makes one that's an envelope maker. I forget some of the other companies, but there's a couple of different companies out there that make these that are just envelope makers. It's the exact same thing. You're going to see the size of your card. You're going to then look at the paper size. The paper size is always going to be square. Always going to be square. So if it says 5.5, it's 5.5 by 5.5. If it says 8 3/4, it's 8 3/4 by 8 3/4. And they get pretty big. I think the biggest one that I see on here is a 7 by 7, and that's 11 1/4. So that means 11 1/4 by 11 1/4. And then it says that your punch guide is 5 5/8. That means the very, very first time you're going to take it to this ruler up here at the top and go to 5 5/8. After that, you're going to take it to the 5 5/8, punch it, and then score it. After that, when you turn it, you're going to feel that score go into the groove, okay, on all of them. So that's how you do this. I hope that it helps you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'll be more than glad to answer them for you. And if it's still as clear as mud to you, give me a call at the shop. I'll be more than glad to go over it on the phone with you. I'll be more than glad for you to come into the shop and me show it to you. It's no problem. And then after you start doing this, you won't ever have to buy envelopes again. I'm not saying it's cheaper than envelopes because cardstock can be a little bit more expensive. However, you don't have to use cardstocks to make your envelopes. You can use your 20-pound paper, and that's pennies. Pennies. So you've got all different size envelopes here. All right? I'll see you all real soon. Bye-bye.